Okay. Welcome to the Holistic Kid Show, where the Holistic Kids teach future educators from the inside out. My name is Zane.
My name is Maud, and my name is Carson.
Kids today are suffering, and we are calling it the new normal.
Our bodies are not working the way that they should.
My friends are dealing with thyroid problems, joint issues, and even cancer.
Our mother had thyroid problems. She was on medication for 8 years. She dealt with ears and digestive issues and hair loss. So she could have a thyroid issues years before she was even diagnosed.
Yeah, but now she's off of all the medications and no longer has any thyroid problems.
She is a much happier mom.
So we want to make sure you don't have to deal with what she dealt with. That is why we have Dr. Tiffany Caplan with us here today to give us hope. Dr. Tiffany Caplan is a celebrity doctor who has become a regular on news stations and has become an international speaker on various health topics. She's the best-selling author of The Lupus Solution, Your Step-by-Step Functional Medicine Guide to Understanding Lupus, Avoiding Flares, and Achieving Long-Term Remission. Our mom also had lupus and no longer deals with that condition. So we are so happy that you are here with us today.
So thank you for having me. Awesome. I'm so glad that you guys are doing this and spreading the message of hope that, hey, you don't have to live with these issues. So congratulations to all the work you guys are doing. And I'm happy to help people understand more about what they can do if they have autoimmune issues or immune system problems.
Well, it's our pleasure.
It's our pleasure. Wow. As a celebrity doctor and author, you are doing such amazing work. We would love to know your story.
Okay, yeah, I got into functional medicine from my own health problems. I luckily did not have autoimmune problems. I have a lot of autoimmune, genetics in my family, lots of things I'm predisposed to, like Hashimoto's and Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, RA, lupus, all of those things kind of run in my family. And so it's my mission to not get an autoimmune disease. But I started out as a patient of a functional medicine doctor because I was having anxiety problems and depression and brain fog. And I was kind of falling apart in my 20s and not feeling very good. And no medical doctors would give me an answer. They would just give me a pill. And that's how I kind of fell into the functional medicine world of looking at nutrition and lifestyle and stress and like all of the different things that we can do to control our health and reverse problems. And now it's my mission to help people with these chronic issues that kind of get set aside in conventional medicine and just band-aided with, medication management and especially autoimmune diseases. I want to educate people on all the things they can do to actually better their health instead of having to rely on pills and feeling terrible forever.
Why is there such a high rate of chronic conditions?
Oh, good question. And this is something that we're seeing more now than we ever have in the past, right? Now, kids are showing up with all of these like autoimmune issues where that was unheard of decades ago. And there's a lot of reasons for it. I think some of the top things have to do with our environment and our food and our lifestyle. These are all things that have drastically changed over the last many, years and decades and continue to get worse in a lot of ways. And so we think about our environment, how there's so many more toxins and chemicals that we get exposed to in our environment, our air, our water, and our food. We think about the standard American diet, and it's full of different chemicals and different it's highly processed and seed oils and these things that our bodies don't recognize as food anymore. A lot of what people are eating on a regular basis isn't giving us nutrition that we need. And then we think about stress and the stress of our lifestyles, how we're more sedentary. We have all of these new technologies that, kids decades ago weren't sitting in front of the TV a lot. They were out playing in the dirt and nature and, moving their bodies more. And so it's just this combination of different factors that have come up that create this like perfect storm to cause our bodies to be like, oh, I don't know how to handle this, right? There's too many things going on that are creating stress in our body and affecting like our immune system. So lots of different reasons behind what's different now than what used to be. And that gives us a lot of tools to work with too.
Wow, that really is amazing. And also going back to your story, it's so inspiring whenever we hear someone who has is seeing these issues and is really changing it. So it's really amazing that you're doing it. So you write about lupus, and we have heard a lot about it from our mom. What exactly is it, and can it actually kill us?
Good question. Yeah, lupus is actually thought of, another name for it is like the great mimicker, right? Because it can actually look like so many different things, which is what can make it hard for somebody to even know that they have it. Sometimes it can take years of somebody having symptoms, feeling fatigue or joint pain, and seeing skin rashes or different things that a lot of doctors kind of like, well, throw their hands up until it gets bad enough to then call it lupus. And lupus is a systemic autoimmune disease. And most of the time when we think about an autoimmune disease, it means the immune system is attacking one very like specific part of the body. So if we think about like Hashimoto's, the immune system will attack the thyroid gland. But if we think about lupus, the immune system is a systemic autoimmune problem. So it can attack different tissues of the body. It's not always just going to go after the same things in every person. So I have, one person with lupus who has skin rashes, but that's the only thing that's showing up for her. I have another person that has joint pain and her hair's falling out. I have another person whose kidneys are affected, but they all are labeled as lupus, but they have these totally different presentations of the disease because the immune system can attack different tissues when you have a systemic autoimmune disease versus a very organ-specific autoimmune disease. So that's what makes lupus a little bit different and can make it harder for people to get diagnosed and get answers, because in the conventional model, they're looked at as having all of these separate problems and they're treated for the different symptoms that they have, right? So if they have joint pain, they go to a joint specialist. If they have a kidney problem, they go to a kidney specialist, or they go to different people to treat the symptoms, when really it's this autoimmune disease that's causing these different problems for them.
Yeah, that is really sad. And because especially, yeah, it really is sad because a lot of the people don't really know that they have lupus and they're trying to treat them, but they don't really know what's going on in their body. Right. So what are some distinct signs that when you have lupus, it like you can really tell, like some ones that are a little more to lupus?
Yeah, some of the most like common symptoms that we'll see with somebody that has lupus is the common like joint pain, brain fog, fatigue. A lot of times they'll have what we call photosensitivity or sensitivity to sun, and they get more, they'll either have a skin rash breakout when they're in the sun, or they'll be more tired when they're in the sun. They have like a reaction to the sunlight. And a lot of it goes back to labs too, looking at what's going on under the surface. So checking out their kidneys, checking out their cardiovascular markers, looking for other antibodies and other indicators that would tell us what tissues might be targeted by the immune system. That all can help us figure out that somebody has the label of lupus. I think it's important too when I'm talking to somebody that has all of these different issues and we kind of suspect, hey, this might be some systemic autoimmune disease, this might be lupus. I think it's really important to also make sure that they don't look at the label of lupus as the be all end all, meaning like, I don't really care what it's called. We need to figure out what's causing the problem. So from the functional medicine perspective, lupus is just another autoimmune disease that we help people with. It's just about figuring out why the immune system is behaving abnormally, instead of treating it as the disease label itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. We heard from other experts that you can have antibodies that are destroying our body before doctors can actually put you on a medicine. Can you explain to us why that is?
Yeah, good question. And this is where a lot of times I'll see it takes many years of somebody suffering and having a lot of symptoms and issues before they even get told that they have an autoimmune disease. And in the like lupus population, what I've seen is it takes on average like 7 years of somebody having all of these different symptoms for the doctor to actually give them a diagnosis. And the reason is it takes different markers and indicators for a conventional diagnosis to take place. So you have to kind of check off enough boxes to call it that. And antibodies can be causing havoc for a while before the labs are bad enough that the conventional doctors will like flag it as a problem. And it takes destruction happening usually over time for the symptoms to even start to present. It's not like we develop antibodies and immediately have the symptoms. A lot of times it's much more gradual and it takes a lot more time for it to kind of get the person's attention, because remember, we can think about like symptoms as the way our body is trying to communicate with us, and symptoms are trying to get our attention. So if we have pain, it's trying to get our attention. If we have fatigue, it's trying to get our attention. So sometimes these problems are so kind of like gradual because the destruction process is happening slowly over time until it gets to the point where it's really symptomatic, and then the labs get bad enough for a diagnosis to actually happen.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a process when you have lupus. So what are some common autoimmune like conditions when your body is attacking itself that like affect kids that we should be aware of?
Yeah, so some of the more common ones that we see in kids are going to be type 1 diabetes and arthritis, so juvenile arthritis. Those are two of the top ones that we'll see presenting as a younger age. A lot of other autoimmune diseases come on later in 20s, 30s, 40s, later in life. And with things like type 1 diabetes, it's a problem where the immune system has destroyed the pancreas, or the part of the body that makes this hormone called insulin that controls our blood sugar. And so if you don't have insulin to control your blood sugar, you become insulin dependent and you have to take a medication for the rest of your life to do what your pancreas should be doing. And that's one autoimmune disease that can show up as a kid. The first earlier ages is around like 5, that a lot of times it can get caught. And then with arthritis, also like kind of more also in the teenage years is usually when we'll start to see that presenting. So that's like joint pain and inflammation in the body, where the kids might have headaches and different pain issues.
So what can cause autoimmune condition?
Great question. And so this is the big question that functional medicine tries to answer when we're looking at somebody with an autoimmune problem is, why do they have an autoimmune problem, right? Because the job of our immune system is actually to protect us, right? It's supposed to attack things that are bad for us to keep us healthy. And when it starts to attack us, it starts to attack our own body. That's not a normal response. So we have to figure out what went wrong with the immune system and what are the things that are causing it to not work like it's supposed to. And that goes back to what we talked about in the beginning. What's causing these chronic health conditions now that didn't really exist or weren't a big problem years ago? Our environment, our lifestyle, and our food. Those are the biggest things that are contributing to these problems. So some of the top things that I find causing autoimmune problems for people have to do with nutrition. either not getting enough of the right nutrition from their food, being depleted, maybe because of what they're eating is not giving them that, or there's other problems with their gut not being healthy to absorb the nutrients, or there's something kind of blocking that. A lot of times it's the standard American diet that's lacking in nutrition causing these problems. Also with lifestyle, being more sedentary, not being outside and playing in nature, and getting dirty to feed our microbiome. Like, a lot of kids are staying inside a lot more and not getting out and moving and exercising on a regular basis. And we need that to help our immune system and release stress in our body. There's toxins and chemicals that we always have to be mindful of. So we try to minimize those in our exposure in our home when we're looking at what cleaning products are being used in the home, or what personal care products, our soap and our shampoo and our toothpaste and all of these things that we're using. We got to make sure they're not toxic to us. Those things will cause our immune system to not work well. And then we got to look at things like sleep. We have to make sure we're sleeping well. Sleep is really important for our immune system to function. And a lot of times people aren't getting enough good quality sleep. So it's about taking care of just our basic needs in our body. We need nutrition, we need sleep and rest, we need movement, and we have to take care of our stress. And stress comes in a lot of different forms. Could be mental, emotional stress if we're stressed out about something at school or our homework, or we're stressed out with friendships or something. But it could be also a physical stress in your body, like having nutrient deficiency or a blood sugar problem. So we have to look at how do we handle stress better. So those are the things that we find cause the immune system to start acting abnormal and causing problems, causing things like autoimmune disease, autoinflammatory disease, and just chronic disease.
What are common symptoms us kids should look for if we suspect autoimmunity?
Yes. So some of the things you want to pay attention to is like how you feel with your energy, because you should have good energy day to day. You shouldn't be really tired and dragging and having a hard time sleeping. So sometimes just paying attention to, if you're not having good energy, maybe we need to look at your nutrition or your lifestyle, because having fatigue is one of the biggest symptoms of an autoimmune disease. And it doesn't mean that if you're tired, you have an autoimmune disease, but it's one thing to really look out for. The other biggest symptom overall with most autoimmune problems is pain. If your body's in pain or experiencing pain of some kind, whether it's joint pains or muscle pains or headaches, that's usually a sign that there's something going on that's not working well in your body. And that could be a sign that there's inflammation, and inflammation is what drives a lot of like autoimmune problems and chronic health problems. So if you're having pain, talk to your parents. If you're tired, if you're having trouble sleeping, if you're having problems with your gut, so maybe you're having constipation problems, or you're feeling bloated or having tummy pains when you eat, those are things to also pay attention to, because most of our immune system actually lives in our gut, and it can be a sign that there's some problems happening.
Can we discuss the link of trauma and autoimmunity, as most kids today are dealing with some sort of trauma?
Yes, good question. So trauma can change how our immune system functions. It changes how our nervous system functions. When we think about going through something traumatic, which doesn't have to be a big trauma, it can be a little trauma. It can just be something that really made us not feel good in the moment. And it kind of puts our nervous system into this, what we call fight or flight state. So our nervous system goes into high alert to make sure that we are safe and protected from our environment, right? If it detects a threat, it's going to just kind of start to peek up and pay attention to our environment to make sure we're okay. And so our nervous system starts to go into this like fight or flight response. And our immune system, also there to kind of surveil our environment and protect us, also can be triggered to go into a more like high alert state. So when we start to see when there's been trauma, it kind of changes our physiology. It keeps our nervous system and our immune system on more high alert. And a lot of what happens in like an autoimmune issue is the immune system is stuck in this like high alert state, and it's overreacting to things that it normally shouldn't be reacting to. And that's part of the problem with somebody that has an autoimmune issue. So trauma can kind of prime our nervous system and our immune system to react to things in a way that is not normal.
Yeah, that really is
empowering.
You really are empowering so much people by teaching them.
Yeah.
So, but if you could tell the audience one takeaway that you want them to do right now,
Right this
today,
second.
and then try to keep the habit, what would you say that they do?
Like right this second. To recover on autoimmune.
Perfect. Right now, what you can do is start listening to your body. You can start paying attention to how it feels, what it likes or doesn't like. So if you're, eating certain foods and they don't make you feel good afterwards, or you're having different symptoms like pain, or you're having fatigue, or you're, not feeling good with you're not moving, you're not sleeping. So you just have to start listening to your body, because every time you have symptoms and issues under the surface, your body's going to try to communicate with you, and it's going to try to get your attention in some way. So if we just start to pay attention to our body and check in every day, how are we feeling? How are we functioning? That's really a good place to start, is being in tune with what your body signals are trying to communicate with you.
Can you give us some examples of how we listen to our body is, let's say whenever we were at a party and we have some, organic candy, so it's not as processed. But yeah, it still has this cane sugar in it. So usually whenever we have that, the sugar really does change us after. Maybe we might be a little more moody or a little like tired, and usually when we're a little cranky, one of us will point out, Zane must have been having too much sugar, or maybe did you get enough sleep, or maybe I will realize that, maybe it's the stress that's really making me angry. So all of this, it's just like understanding why your body works like this.
Exactly. Like you said, sometimes it's other people that can point those things out that we don't even realize, or we can't connect the dots. So sometimes it's like good to have support system around you that is kind of looking out for you too.
So like back when I used to have like sinus issues, I was like really and when I used to have like eggs, I was like, I can't have that because I have all the sinus issues. And I was like, I can't have that, so I was like, no eggs, and I just keep doing that. Because my body's like, you can't have eggs because it's making me worse. And then when I feel like I don't feel well, I like take Epsom salt baths.
Yes, I love Epsom salt baths. Yeah,
because it's really important to detoxify all the chemicals. So Epsom salt baths are really good ways.
Yeah, I love it.
So, where can people learn more about you and your amazing work?
Amazing work.
You can go to our website, the KaplanHealthInstitute.com. You can find us on social media, Kaplan Health Institute, Kaplan with a C. And we have the Lupus Solutions on Amazon. If somebody has lupus that's listening and wants to learn more about the functional medicine lens of how they can start to get that under control. But yeah, finding us online.
Thank you again, Dr. Tiffany. We can't thank you enough.
Thank you enough. So now let's recap. So now let's recap Dr. Tiffany's key points. There are a lot of things going on that can be affecting our immune system. When we're diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, the diagnosis is one piece of the puzzle. We need to figure out why the immune system is not working the way it should.
You can develop antibodies years before the disease can be diagnosed. These problems can be gradual until they become symptomatic.
We need to look at our lifestyle, environment, and our food. If we're not getting enough of the right nutrition, if we're not playing outside a lot, getting in nature, exercising, or if we're bombarding our body with toxins, not getting enough sleep, stress, the list can go on and on. So that's why you have to keep away that, and you have to really listen to your body and understand what is going on so you can help yourself make your body better.
Start listening to your body today. Your body can actually talk. The symptoms we have are one of the ways that our body can talk to us, even when it's off balance. So listen to your body
today. And thank you everyone for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Zan. Sorry.
I'm Abdullah. I'm Maud.
Okay.
And I'm Qasim.
Follow my favorite guy on social media, Holistic Mom D, and look out for our book releasing September 2025 called The Teen Health Revolution. Yeah, we're working. So kids need to learn from other kids. Please download our podcast on iTunes and leave a review so other kids and families can benefit. We need to create a healthy future for all of us and the planet. Join us next week for another episode of the Holistic Kid Show, where kids aren't prying kids.
Thank you, everyone.